Hi, I'm delighted to be joined by Amy Nelson-Bennett, co-CEO at Positive Luxury, and we're going to be talking about how luxury and sustainability interact and the future of luxury and sustainability together. Hi, Amy. Thanks for joining us.
A pleasure. Thanks for making the time to speak with me.
So we're going to dive straight in. I'm going to be talking about supply chains and how complex it is to make our supply chains in luxury fashion more sustainable and more transparent. Where do you guys come and help with people wanting to make their supply chains more sustainable?
Sure. I mean, this isn't a quick or simple task. Particularly, we've got very, very large businesses with thousands of suppliers that they need to understand in greater detail. And we have also a lot of micro and small businesses who've got very little influence over their suppliers. So we work with businesses to help them, embed sustainable mindsets and sustainable practices into all the different areas of their business that would affect their supply chain. So whether it's their creative teams, their product developers, the people who are managing procurement. A lot of our businesses have got vertical supply chains. Some of the manufacturing is within their own organization. And we help them select or transition their supply chain to work with those people that share their values and over time are comfortable looking out into their own supply chains to help provide that transparency. And that's really about helping businesses establish codes of conduct that reflect their values and their ethics and their standards as a luxury house, and developing, getting rid of the old customer supplier relationship, and particularly with their tier one primary suppliers, really trying to establish long-term partnerships that help the brand and the supplier adapt and become a stronger business by working together.
I imagine this is part of the biggest challenge for moving luxury fashion as a whole over to net zero by 2050, which I think is the industry goal. I imagine this is the big bit of work.
We like to focus on 2030 and be ambitious.
2030 even better.
Yeah, I mean, it's fashion has many issues and a lot of global goals around whether it's greenhouse gases, whether it's protecting nature, whether it's waste. There's a lot of reasons for fashion to be looking at all these sort of different corners of sustainability, as well as the huge number of social issues that exist out in fashion supply chain. So it's a big job for them, but we are encountering an increasing number of businesses with really strong leadership, which is where it starts. And strong leadership means doing more than just talking about it, but really setting their organization up to start making those changes. It also takes patience. These sorts of changes in fashion houses, they take time to make. You know, people are manufacturing processes over very long lead times. As businesses, we really have to learn, I guess, as consumers in particular, to value real progress over perfection, and understand that it's difficult work, and that's what's worth respecting in a fashion house, rather than quick and easy wins. And it's
sometimes the quick and easy wins aren't actually the right wins in the first place. It takes a long time to.
We work with houses, and we come in and go, there's some things you can do that are what we would call the low-hanging fruit. Those things do exist, but if you are talking about re-engineering your value chain, actually reshaping your business model in many ways, we can't expect businesses to do that in a quarter, in a half year, in a year. These are long-term commitments that businesses need to do over time and balance against a series of priorities. As long as it's in maybe the top, I'm really happy when sustainability is in a business's top 3 priorities. If it's top 5, I'll still be satisfied. As soon as it slips beneath that, then I think it's a business with a lot of short-term pressure on it that's going to be problematic in midterm.
And you mentioned consumers there a minute ago, and obviously you guys have the butterfly mark, which is how consumers can help tell, a more sustainable business from one that is less sustainable. But how easy is it for consumers to really avoid greenwashing in the luxury fashion sector? Because obviously this is a problem throughout many industries.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, luxury, luxury fashion, or pretty much any luxury good, it should be a considered purchase. So people should do their research. The one thing I would say to people is make sure that when you're looking at a brand, the brand is leading with science. And by that, I mean clear, accurate evidence. Look for data. And if it's not there and a brand is making claims, you should be cautious. We've just published a green claims toolkit for our community that helps them outline best practice. We have so many brands that are doing great things, but are not confident of how to articulate that. They don't want to overclaim. And so we're trying to help them understand how to, if you're going to commit to being evidence-based and transparent, how do they do that, and what should consumers be looking for? And they've got a backup. So the butterfly mark is fantastic. It's a gateway. If a brand's carrying it, you should trust these brands, but you should be looking further behind any certification for data. And a brand should be making credible claims backed up by up-to-date evidence. It should be clear and specific to the entire product, not one element, one component, one material. If a brand is making really general, we're eco-friendly, question whether that is related to the entire life cycle of a product or one small aspect of it. And be really cautious of any messaging that you feel is encouraging overconsumption. If you're buying a luxury product, it should be about longevity and quality and respect for the craftsmanship and the process that went into the making of that product.
Definitely. And I know, we have some of the strongest guidelines now with the Green Claims Code for consumers. So it's definitely worth being on top of that. And it's actually a really nice sort of segue into the next question, which is sort of, we've got luxury fashion on one side, we've got fast fashion on the other. Mm-hmm. Is luxury fashion and that more considered purchasing, is that a natural antidote to the sort of the boom in fast fashion? Or, I mean, obviously the luxury sector is growing, I think 6% a year. Is that growth sort of undoing something more considered purchasing?
Is growth being driven by volume or value? That would be, I guess the first more sort of commercially oriented question, particularly in the current climate of inflation. A lot of growth at the moment is being driven by value rather than volume. But generally, we believe that our position is that luxury as an industry should lead. And it's one of the reasons we founded Positive Luxury with that specific focus, because we believe the industry could become Positive Luxury. Yes, it's our company name, but by that we mean a new kind of luxury that respects and upholds all the really laudable traditional values of luxury that are about craftsmanship and design and creativity and quality and durability and beautiful materials and service, all those sort of things, and couples that in today's world, given the concerns we need to address, with a really sort of authentic and deep commitment to and care for people and nature, and gets rid of the opulence and wasteful image that developed over the last few decades. And those combined values put luxury in a really enviable position to lead the fashion industry as a whole towards a better future for nature, including the people that live within that. So it's a really interesting opportunity for luxury. I think we believe luxury should be leading for lots of different reasons, but they've got a more natural position to do that.
Absolutely. As you said, a lot of the things you just sort of listed off are actually the things that you look for in an ethical brand anyway, that kind of craftsmanship and longevity. So that does seem like a natural fit. And do you think is there more innovation coming through at the luxury level in terms of sort of bio-based materials and reusing dead stock and things like that?
I think that the two things we're seeing that are probably quite specific to fashion are, yes, some very interesting, innovative materials coming through, particularly from interesting small niche businesses. A lot of the innovation is happening in that space, and some of that's being supported by very large groups or organizations. They just need support reaching scale. and we need to educate consumers that some of these new materials are actually, in many ways, there's lots of different reasons for them to be preferable. The lesser impact being the first one. We see lots of people also really starting to work in fashion at different paces, but people are understanding, I think, more fully what circularity means, and the steps they can take over time in terms of everything from the types of materials they choose. How do you minimize waste and offcuts and all these different things? How are you supporting crafts and things, particularly for some of our fashion businesses that are quite niche skill sets that could disappear, but how do you preserve those to maintain an edge? We're seeing a lot of things, and then, going out the back and people trying to support more repair, resale, and ultimately just build products with a greater degree of longevity and durability in them. And we are seeing businesses, moving in that direction at different paces. They're under huge pressure from, quarterly results are still driving a huge amount of the decision making in these organizations. But it's definitely shifting. Every 6 months I look back and go, wow, it's a lot different than it was. So the pace of change is accelerating, which is hugely encouraging.
It is, and it does feel like there's a lot of positivity in the sector. And thank you. Like, that's just a very quick, overview of some really, really big, meaty issues in the luxury sector. Thank you so much for giving us your insight and only just touching, I think, on some of those big questions.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's the good news for everybody is that things are changing for the better. I always like them to happen faster, but they are. So thanks for the opportunity, I guess, to deliver good news rather than just doom and gloom news.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, Amy, and thanks, Marie Claire.
Thanks, Georgina.